first title is called Technical Innovation in American History, volume set. The second one is When Women Wrote Hollywood, Essays on Female Screenwriters in the Early Film Industry.
Thank you. All right, so yeah, let's talk about all the things everyone's talked about. We'll just filter it all together in a couple places. First of all, I co-edited this with my office mate, Peg Lamphere. We're both in the IGE department. This comes from ABC Clio. Last year, we published a 4-volume set, Women in American History and Popular Culture. And that was marvelous and wonderful, and we hired a bunch of our friends to write entries. It was lots of work, lots of herding cats, but we loved it. And then the publishers emailed us and said, we started this book, Technical Innovation in American History, and the editor we have has fallen out. We don't like working with this person, and we thought perhaps you'd like to pick this up. It was a 3-volume encyclopedia, and neither of us teaches in engineering or architecture or science departments, but we teach a course called Visions of Science and Technology, how science and technology is affecting our lives and what we're doing about that effect. So we thought, well, that's interesting. And I really thought, I was here at the Octavia Butler lecture yesterday, and one of her mantras was, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And if girls can't see themselves in science, they don't project themselves into it. So we thought, wouldn't it be good if a science text had 2 women editing it? I think that's a pretty cool idea. So I kind of said yes, and if Peg was here, she would say that I twisted her arm because I thought it'd be a cool thing to do, and she thought it would be a lot of work, and we were both right. So what we did, though, was instead of taking a bunch of friends and colleagues from across the country, we took our students. So this is actually a work of Cal Poly Pomona. For 2 years, anyone who took our course, instead of writing a long research paper or something they may have, I don't know, stolen off the internet, they were assigned entries that they had to go research and write at 400 or 600 or 800 word levels. And then, of course, we had to edit them and send them back and have them redone over and over again. And they had to get references. They had to essentially, so they are the authors of the book. And we did that for 2 whole years of classes here. We thought that was really fun and a great use of their time and our time. And then it comes to covers, which a couple people have mentioned covers. So when we took on the job, the cover was already chosen. It was, as you can tell, Benjamin Franklin, this is Thomas Edison, and this was going to be the shuttle, right? So it'd be really cute. And we looked at it and we said, there's something missing on this cover. There's 2 boys and a rocket, which could be perceived to be something that it isn't from far away. So it was a very masculine cover, and we didn't like that. And they said, it's too bad, we've paid for the pictures, you can't change them. So we huffed and puffed and complained about it, and they weren't listening. Okay, fine. And then our Women in American History and Popular Culture won 2 awards from the American Library Association for Best Reference Material of the Year and Best Archivalist or something like that. And we got those awards in email, and then we looked at each other and went, if there's ever a time to say you owe us 1 woman on the cover of our next book, now's the time. And we did, in fact, call them and say, could we have a girl? And they were like, oh, you're probably right. In this current era, it's kind of wrong if it's the book that... And of course, when we inherited the book, the headword list had no female inventors in it. The person who had put it together before had no female inventors. So we added all of that. So they gave us Maria Mitchell, who was the first astronomer in America. And so there you go, we got a girl on the cover. So that's this, it's a 3-volume set. I'm very proud that all the kids took part. This is my book that I edited last year. I'm an adjunct, so I work at 4 different universities, and I don't get sabbaticals, so I do all this shit on my own at home. Sorry, but that's the truth of how the world works, okay? From my other school, I teach a history of screenwriting course, and in the silent era, there were more women working in Hollywood than men, and they made more money than the men did. They did more of the films that we know from the very beginning. Their names do not appear in many history books because when the studio system took over and men created studios, men took the women who'd run their own studios and their own production companies and had edited and directed and written their own films and said, we'd like you, we bought your businesses and we'd like you to be the junior writers now and we'll teach you how this is done. And they said, goodbye, we're going home to write novels and do sculpture and other art, we don't need you. And they walked away. And so the people doing the histories of writing in Hollywood began to only report about the boys, who were Cecil B. DeMille and D.W. Griffith, and those are the names you've heard a million times. But every movie that made money for Cecil B. DeMille, all the Ten Commandments and all that stuff, written by a woman named Jeannie McPherson, who's got a whole chapter in here. When she stopped writing for him, he stopped making a profit. Right? D.W. Griffith destroyed the world with Birth of a Nation, which is a terrible movie nobody should ever watch again, and apologized with a film called Intolerance, which was ridiculous and long and stupid and made no sense. And he called Anita Luce and said, "Oh my God, please fix this for me." And she fixed it with her inner titles that made sense of the whole film. So Anita, Jeannie, all these women, this is June Mathis, she's adorable. I assigned these women in my other class as research papers, and after I did that with my first group of students, I had a collection of really great research papers, and I called a publisher who had published a book for me the year before, which I was here for, The Monkees, who are my favorite show when I was a kid. And I said, "Would you want a book on famous women screenwriters?" And they were like, "Oh, yes, we would." So this was my chance to publish all those students. So both of them are books involving students of mine, and they were both a lot of fun, and they're all about women who need to be seen in the world more often.